What if the life you are living is the very prison you were trained to build? You were told riches come from luck, inheritance, or privilege, yet those are illusions that keep you blind. The masters of wealth knew a secret current, invisible yet unstoppable, that turns the common into the uncommon. Hill heard it whispered in the chambers of Titans, and he carried it as prophecy for you. The question is not whether the trick works, it always does. The question is whether you will dare to use it before another lifetime slips away. You have been told that wealth arrives through noise, through announcement, through the constant broadcast of ambition to a world that, in truth, does not care whether you succeed or fail. You have been taught to speak your dreams aloud, to seek validation at every junction, to post your progress, to declare your intentions as if the declaration itself held power. But I tell you plainly, this is the surest path to emptiness. The world does not reward the loud, it rewards the faithful. It rewards the silent builder. It rewards the man or woman who governs their own attention in secret until the result, not the promise, speaks on their behalf. There exists a silent trick, a hidden mechanism that separates the ordinary from the wealthy. It is not charisma. It is not inheritance. It is not even talent, though talent may assist. The trick is this: to hold a single aim with such intensity, such discipline, such unwavering focus that every hour of your day becomes a law unto itself. To speak little, to build much, to guard your vision as you would guard a flame in a storm, to let the noise of the world pass by while you, in silence, construct the machinery of wealth. This is not mysticism. This is not philosophy. This is law, and the law, once obeyed, must yield. You will learn in the coming moments the architecture of this trick. You will learn how definite purpose anchors all action, how silence protects fragile ideas from the corrosive doubts of others, how autosuggestion, that strange and perfect chemistry of the mind, transforms belief into behavior, how rhythm and habit convert time into ownership, how the mastermind, when built in silence, multiplies force without diluting vision, and how decision, when paired with the burning of bridges, removes all retreat and compels the world to yield. These are not separate principles. They are one law expressed in 6 movements, and if you will walk with me through each, if you will refuse to drift, if you will hear every word and apply it with precision, you will discover that the wealth you seek is not distant. It is waiting for your obedience. I do not promise ease. I do not promise speed. I promise only this: if you follow the law will follow you. If you govern your attention will govern your conditions. And if you remain silent while others broadcast, you will possess what they only pretend to pursue. Let us begin, not with noise, but with the first and most essential foundation, the singular aim that makes all other actions obedient to its command. There is no wealth without a center. No fortune without a core, no empire without a single, burning, non-negotiable aim around which all else revolves. The man who chases 10 goals arrives nowhere. The woman who divides her attention among a dozen visions builds nothing. But the one who condenses their entire being into a single definite purpose, who writes it down, who speaks it only to themselves, who refuses all distraction until that aim is manifest, that one becomes unstoppable. Not because they possess more talent, but because they possess more focus. And focus, when sustained, becomes force. Let me speak plainly. The definite chief aim is not a wish. It is not a hope. It is not a vague intention to do better or make more money or be successful. These are the words of drifters, and drifters do not become wealthy. They become servants to those who decided. Your definite chief aim must be specific. It must be written. It must be tied to a date, a sum, a result you can measure. It must be something you can see in your mind's eye with such clarity that when you close your eyes, it is more real than the room you sit in, and once written, it must be repeated, not once, not when you feel inspired, but every morning and every night with emotion, with belief, until your subconscious mind accepts it as law. Consider Andrew Carnegie. He did not scatter his energies across 100 ventures. He did not wake each day wondering what opportunity might present itself. He chose steel, he chose empire, and from that single choice, every action, every association, every dollar spent became a brick in the same structure. His aim was not complex, it was singular. And because it was singular, it was powerful. The world could not confuse him, critics could not derail him, doubt could not paralyze him. He had decided, and decision, when backed by daily repetition, is the beginning of all wealth. But here is where most men fail. They write the aim, they feel the surge of inspiration, and then they speak it to the wrong people. They announce it on platforms. They share it with friends who do not believe. They seek approval from those who have never built anything. And in doing so, they bleed the power from the vision. Every time you speak your aim to someone who doubts, you introduce a fracture into your own belief. Every time you broadcast your intention to a crowd that does not care, you scatter the energy that should be focused on execution. The aim must be held in silence until it is strong enough to withstand scrutiny. And it becomes strong not through applause, but through action. This is the first law. Define your aim. Write it in one sentence. Make it specific, measurable, and tied to a deadline. Then guard it. Speak it only to yourself, only in the mirror, only in the presence of those who strengthen your resolve. Refuse to announce, made it. Refuse to seek validation. Let the world wonder what you are building. Let them ask. And when they do, smile quietly and return to your work. For the man who speaks little and builds much will one day possess what the loud man only promised. Now I ask you, what is your single aim? Not your many desires, not your scattered hopes. What is the one result that, if achieved, would render all other pursuits secondary? If you cannot answer this question in one sentence, you do not yet have a definite chief aim. You have interests, and interests do not build wealth. Only obsession does. So write it now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now. One sentence, one target, one law. And let that sentence become the axis around which your entire life revolves. Do you carry doubt? Do you wonder if this one aim is enough? Then consider this. Every great fortune in history was built on a single idea, executed with relentless focus. Ford did not build cars and also invent light bulbs. Edison did not split his attention between electricity and steel production. Rockefeller did not diversify until he had first dominated oil. They chose, they committed, they refused distraction. And because they refused distraction, they became monuments. You must do the same. Not because I command it, but because the law commands it, and the law does not negotiate. Affirm this now, in your own voice, with your own conviction. I command wealth through wisdom. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. Say it aloud. Say it until your chest expands. Say it until your doubt quiets. For this is the beginning. This is the foundation. Without it, all that follows will collapse. But with it, every principle, every habit, every alliance you form will multiply in power. The definite chief aim is the seed. Everything else is the soil, the water, the Sunday. But without the seed, there is no harvest. You have the aim, you have written it, you have guarded it. Now you must protect it from the second. Great destroyer of wealth, the compulsion to announce, to broadcast, to seek the approval of those who will never walk your path. Let us turn now to the silent trick that shields your vision from dissolution. Let us speak of strategic silence, the forgotten discipline of the wealthy. The world has trained you to believe that visibility equals validity, that if you do not announce your progress, it does not count, that if you do not share your wins, they are somehow incomplete. But I tell you, this is the logic of the weak. The strong do not announce. They accumulate. They do not broadcast intention. They deliver result. And between intention and result lies a vast, silent territory where wealth is forged in secret, protected from the corrosive influence of doubters, critics, and the well-meaning ignorant who would dilute your vision with their fear. Silence is not passivity. It is not hiding. It is strategic protection. When an idea is born, it is fragile. It has no defense against mockery, skepticism, or the casual dismissal of those who have never built anything. The moment you speak it aloud to the wrong ears, you invite doubt into your own mind. You open the door to questions you are not yet prepared to answer. You dilute the emotional intensity that fuels execution. And worst of all, you train your subconscious to seek external validation rather than internal conviction. The man who requires applause before he acts will never act decisively. He will always wait for permission. And permission, when granted by the crowd, is always too late. John D. Rockefeller understood this law with surgical precision. He did not announce his plans. He did not seek the approval of competitors or the applause of journalists. He moved in silence, negotiating in private, executing in shadow, and revealing his hand only when the result was already in motion. By the time the world understood what he had built, it was too late to stop him. His silence was not secrecy for its own sake. It was protection. It was strategy. It was the preservation of power until power could no longer be questioned. You must adopt this discipline, not because I say so, but because the law demands it. From this moment forward, cut 90% of your public declarations. Stop posting your goals. Stop announcing your projects. Stop seeking validation from those who have no stake in your success. Save your words for execution. Save your energy for building. And when someone asks what you are working on, smile, offer a vague kindness, and redirect the conversation. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them watch in silence as you rise. But silence is not merely external. It is also internal. You must learn to quiet the voice that seeks constant reassurance. The voice that asks, am I good enough? Is this going to work? What will they think? These questions are the whispers of fear, and fear grows loudest in the absence of action. The antidote is not to answer the questions. It is to move, to build, to execute. And as you move, the questions will fade, not because they were answered, but because they became irrelevant. Here is the test. Can you work on your aim for 30 days without telling a single person outside your immediate circle? Can you build in secret, test in private, refine in shadow, and reveal only when the prototype is alive? If you cannot, you are still addicted to applause, and applause is a drug that weakens the builder. It gives you the feeling of progress without the substance. It trains you to perform rather than produce. And performance, no matter how convincing, does not deposit into your account. Let me tell you what happens when you guard your vision in silence. First, your energy consolidates. Instead of scattering your conviction across a dozen conversations, you channel it into execution. Second, your subconscious receives a clear command. It learns that you do not need external permission to proceed. It begins to trust your internal authority. Third, doubt has no entry point. The critics cannot criticize what they do not see. The skeptics cannot plant seeds of hesitation if you do not give them access. And fourth, when you finally reveal the result, it speaks with a force that no announcement could ever match. Consider the difference between two men. The first announces his intention to build a business. He posts about it, he tells his family, he shares his progress on platforms, he seeks encouragement at every turn, and with each announcement, a little energy leaks out, a little belief dissipates, a little doubt creeps in through the questions others ask. By the time he is ready to launch, he is exhausted, not from building, but from defending. The second man writes his aim in private. He tells no one. He works in silence. He tests in shadow. And when he launches, the world sees a finished product, not a fragile promise. Which man do you think the world takes seriously? Which man do you think builds wealth? Silence is not about being unsociable. It is not about rejecting feedback or isolating yourself from wisdom. It is about choosing carefully who has access to your vision in its infancy. Share your aim only with those who have proven they can strengthen it. Share your doubts only with those who have overcome similar obstacles. Share your progress only with those who are building alongside you, not those who are watching from the sidelines. This is the mastermind principle in its purest form, and we will speak of it more deeply soon. But for now, understand this. The circle must be small, the silence must be strategic, and the execution must be relentless. You may ask, but what if I need advice? What if I need help? Then seek it from those who have walked the path. Seek it from those who have built what you are building. Seek it from mentors, not from peers who are as lost as you are. And even then, ask specific questions. Do not spill your entire vision. Do not seek validation. Seek information. Seek correction. Seek the one piece of knowledge that will allow you to take the next step. Then return to silence. Return to execution. Return to the work that only you can do. There is a quiet dignity in the man who builds without announcing, a calm authority in the woman who delivers results instead of promises. The world may not notice you in the beginning. They may not applaud your early efforts, but they will notice when you cross the finish line, and by then you will not need their applause. You will have something far more valuable, a result they cannot deny, a wealth they cannot question, and a reputation built not on words, but on demonstration. Affirm this now. I speak law. I speak belief. I speak only what I am becoming. Silence protects power. Say it quietly, to yourself, as if it were a secret you are keeping from the world, because it is. This is the silent trick. This is the hidden mechanism. Guard your vision, protect your energy, build in shadow, and let the result be your announcement. But silence alone is not enough. You can guard your aim, you can refuse to broadcast, you can work in private, and still fail if your mind is not programmed for success. Silence protects the vision, but it does not create the vision. For that, you need a different mechanism. You need the strange and powerful chemistry of autosuggestion, the process by which belief is manufactured, installed, and activated within the subconscious mind. And it is to this law that we now turn, for without it, even the most guarded aim will wither in the soil of doubt. The subconscious mind is not a mystical entity. It is a mechanism. It is the silent operator that governs your habits, your emotions, your automatic responses, and ultimately, your results. It does not think. It does not reason. It does not judge. It simply accepts what you feed it through repetition and emotional intensity, and then it begins to execute. If you feed it fear, it will create circumstances that justify fear. If you feed it doubt, it will find evidence of impossibility. But if you feed it belief, clarity, and a definite aim, it will begin to reorganize your entire life around the achievement of that aim. This is not magic. This is law. And the law is activated through autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the process of speaking to yourself with intention. It is the deliberate repetition of chosen words, spoken aloud, backed by emotion, until the subconscious accepts them as truth. Most people engage in autosuggestion without knowing it. They repeat their fears. They rehearse their failures. They tell themselves, I can't afford this. I'm not good enough. I always fail. And the subconscious, being obedient, creates a life that matches these declarations. But the man who understands the law reverses the process. He chooses his words. He crafts his affirmations. He repeats them with faith. And over time, the subconscious begins to believe, and belief becomes behavior, and behavior becomes result. Thomas Edison did not stumble into the electric light by accident. He attempted it 10,000 times, 10,000 failures, and yet he never accepted defeat. Why? Because his mind was programmed with a belief that could not be shaken. He acted as if the light already existed, as if it were only a matter of discovering the method. This was not delusion. This was autosuggestion applied with precision. Every failed attempt reinforced his belief rather than diminished it. Every setback became evidence of progress, not proof of impossibility. And because his subconscious accepted the command, "The light exists, and I will bring it forth," his conscious mind continued to search, to test, to refine, until the result appeared. You must do the same, not with electric light, but with your definite chief aim. You must write a series of affirmations, statements of belief and identity that align with the result you seek. These are not wishes. They are commands. They are laws you are installing into your own operating system, and they must be specific, present tense, and emotionally charged. Do not say, "I hope to be wealthy." Say, "I am building wealth through wisdom and disciplined action." Do not say, "I want to be free." Say, "I do not wait for freedom. I build it now." Do not say, "Maybe I can succeed." Say, "I command wealth through obedience to law. Success is my inheritance." Write 11 of these affirmations, not 10, not 12. 11. Align each one with your definite chief aim. Make them bold. Make them definite. Make them declarations of who you are becoming, not who you hope to be. And then, every morning before the world wakes, stand before a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and speak these affirmations aloud 3 times each. Not mumbled, not rushed, spoken with conviction, with emotion, with the full force of your belief. And then again at night, before you sleep, repeat the process, morning and evening, without fail, without excuse. This is the ritual that reprograms the subconscious. Why the mirror? Because the mirror forces accountability. You cannot lie to your own reflection. You cannot fake conviction when you are staring into your own eyes. The mirror reveals hesitation. It exposes doubt. And over time, as you repeat these words day after day, you will see the transformation. Your voice will strengthen. Your posture will shift. Your eyes will hold a certainty they did not possess before. And this is not performance. This is installation. You are becoming the man or woman described in those affirmations. But I must warn you, the affirmations will feel false at first. Your mind will resist. It will tell you this is pretense, that you are lying to yourself, that speaking wealth into existence is foolish. This is the voice of your old programming, the accumulated beliefs of years spent in doubt. Ignore it. Do not argue with it. Simply continue the repetition. For the subconscious does not care whether the affirmation feels true. It only cares about frequency and emotion. Repeat the words with feeling, and the feeling will eventually align with the words. And when that alignment occurs, you will notice something extraordinary. Opportunities will appear, ideas will surface, connections will form, not because the universe is rewarding your positive thinking, but because your subconscious has been given a clear command and is now filtering reality for evidence that supports that command. The man who repeats, "I am a failure," will see failure everywhere. The woman who repeats, "I am unworthy," will sabotage every opportunity. But the one who repeats, "I am the master of my fate. I command wealth through wisdom. I build freedom now," will begin to notice the tools, the people, the moments that make those declarations real. This is not mysticism. This is selective attention governed by belief, and belief is manufactured through repetition. Let me give you a living example, not from history, but from the ordinary world you inhabit. A man, unremarkable in every external way, decided he would become wealthy through real estate. He had no capital, no connections, no experience, but he had a definite aim, and he had the discipline to program his mind. Every morning for 90 days, he stood before his mirror and spoke 11 affirmations. "I attract profitable properties. I see value where others see risk. I am a master negotiator. Money flows to me through service." 90 days of repetition, 90 days of feeling foolish. And then, on the 91st day, a conversation at a coffee shop led to a partnership. A partnership led to a first deal. A first deal led to a second. Within 3 years, he owned 12 properties. Not because the affirmations were magic, but because they reprogrammed his attention, his confidence, his willingness to act. The subconscious, once instructed, began to execute. You must understand, the subconscious is always working. It is always filtering, always organizing, always building. The question is, what have you instructed it to build? If you have given it no clear command, it will default to fear, to doubt, to the accumulated negativity of your past. But if you give it a definite aim, backed by daily affirmations, spoken with emotion, it will begin to construct a life that matches your instructions. This is the law, and the law, when obeyed, must yield. So I ask you now, what are you repeating to yourself? What words run through your mind in the moments between tasks, in the silence of the morning, in the quiet of the night? Are they words of power or words of weakness? Are they declarations of belief or rehearsals of fear? If you do not know, begin to listen. And when you hear the voice of doubt, interrupt it, replace it. Speak your affirmations out loud, with emotion, until the new voice becomes louder than the old. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. I am the master of my belief. What I believe with emotion and act upon with decision becomes real. Say it. Say it until your subconscious no longer questions. Say it until your body responds with certainty. Say it until the world begins to reflect the law you have installed within. But auto-suggestion without structure is like a seed without soil. The words may be powerful, but if they are not planted in a system, if they are not watered by daily discipline, they will not take root. Belief must be paired with behavior. Faith must be fused with action. And action, to be effective, must be governed by rhythm. This brings us to the fourth movement, the principle that transforms sporadic effort into inevitable result. This is the law of rhythm and habit, the invisible architecture that converts time into ownership. Most men waste their days. They drift from task to task, reacting to urgency, responding to distraction, never building anything that lasts. They believe they are busy, but they are only occupied. They believe they are working, but they are only moving. And at the end of the year, they look back and see nothing but exhaustion. No asset, no system, no progress toward the aim they claim to hold. Why? Because they have no rhythm. They have no fixed time for focused work. They have no ritual that governs their day. And without rhythm, there is no accumulation. Without accumulation, there is no wealth. Rhythm is the difference between the laborer and the owner. The laborer trades time for money. The owner builds systems that generate money while he sleeps. And the bridge between the two is daily, disciplined, non-negotiable blocks of deep work, focused on building something that will eventually run without you. This is not theory. This is the operating system of every fortune ever built. Henry Ford did not stumble into the assembly line. He designed it, and once designed, it ran with precision, with rhythm, with mathematical certainty. The rhythm of the line converted time into cars, cars into profit, profit into empire. You must do the same with your days. Here is the law. What has a fixed time becomes a rule. What becomes a rule becomes a habit. And what becomes a habit becomes identity. If you schedule 2 blocks of 50 minutes each day for focused, uninterrupted work on your definite chief aim, and you protect those blocks as you would protect your life, within 90 days, that rhythm will feel more natural than distraction. Your mind will crave the work. Your body will anticipate the session. And the output, compounded over months, will astonish you. But most people will not do this. They will say they are too busy. They will say their schedule is unpredictable. They will say they need flexibility. And because they refuse to install rhythm, they remain poor. Not poor in money alone, but poor in focus, poor in progress, poor in the feeling of building something real. The wealthy do not have more time. They have more discipline. They have fixed blocks. They have protected hours. And they defend those hours with the same intensity that a general defends a strategic position. Let me describe what this looks like in practice. You wake. You do not check your phone. You do not scroll. You do not react to the world. You move directly to your mirror and you speak your 11 affirmations, 3 times each, with emotion, with belief. This takes 15 minutes. Then you sit in silence for 5 minutes. Not meditation, not prayer, simply silence. You breathe, you feel your body, you allow your mind to settle. And then, for 5 more minutes, you visualize your next milestone. Not vaguely, specifically. You see it, you feel it, you walk through it in your mind as if it has already occurred. This is your morning government. This is how you take dominion over your day before the day takes dominion over you. Then, at a fixed time, you enter your first deep work block. 50 minutes. No phone. No email. No interruptions. You work on one task, one deliverable, one piece of your definite chief aim. You build. You create. You produce. And when the 50 minutes end, you take 10 minutes to move, to breathe, to reset. Then you enter the second block. Another 50 minutes of focused execution. By the end of these 2 blocks, you will have produced more real progress than most people produce in a week. Not because you worked harder, but because you worked with rhythm, with focus, with a clear and singular aim. At midday, you pause. You do not celebrate. You do not rest. You send one piece of evidence to your accountability circle. A screenshot, a metric, a photo, a 60-second video, not to impress, but to prove to yourself, to your mastermind, that you are not drifting, that you are not pretending, that you are building something real. This is the rule of proof. It eliminates self-deception. It forces honesty. And honesty is the only soil in which wealth can grow. In the afternoon, you dedicate 1 hour to building a microsystem, not to completing tasks, not to reacting to emails, but to constructing something that will eventually run without you. A landing page, an automated email sequence, a simple offer, a piece of code, a process document. Something small, but something that converts your time today into an asset that works tomorrow. This is how ownership is built. Not in giant leaps, but in small, consistent installations of leverage. 1 system per week, 4 systems per month, 12 systems in 90 days. And by the end of that period, you will have built a machine that generates value while you sleep. In the evening, you close your day with the same discipline you used to open it. You return to the mirror. You read your definite chief aim aloud. You review 3 metrics: deliverables completed, leads or revenue generated, and your execution percentage for the week. If you executed 85% or more of your planned blocks, you mark the day as a win. If you fell below, you note the reason, adjust, and prepare for tomorrow. Then you speak 1 statement of gratitude, not for what you hope to receive, but for what you have already built. And you identify 1 improvement, 1 small adjustment that will make tomorrow stronger than today. This rhythm, this structure, is not optional. It is the operating system of wealth, and it must be tracked. You must keep a visible record, a calendar on the wall, an X for every day you complete the ritual, a streak you can see, a rhythm you can measure, because what is measured is what improves, and what improves consistently is what compounds. And compounding, over time, is the only force that creates lasting wealth. Do you see the difference now? Between the man who drifts and the man who governs? Between the woman who reacts and the woman who commands? The first lives at the mercy of the day, the second shapes the day to serve her aim, and the shaping is done not through willpower, but through rhythm, not through motivation, but through structure, not through hope, but through law. Affirm this now. Each day I act in obedience. Each day I prove who I am. Repetition builds rule. Say it as you would say a vow, because it is a vow. A commitment to yourself, to your aim, to the law that governs all accumulation. And if you keep this vow for 30 days, you will feel the shift. For 60 days, you will see the result. For 90 days, you will become unrecognizable to your former self. But even rhythm, even discipline, even the most carefully constructed system can be accelerated. There is a force that multiplies effort without multiplying time, a principle that allows two minds to produce what one mind could never achieve alone. This is the mastermind, the silent alliance, the hidden multiplier that the wealthy guard as carefully as they guard their capital. And it is to this law that we now turn, for without it, you are building alone. And no one who builds alone ever builds an empire. There is a strange phenomenon that occurs when two minds unite in harmony around a single objective. A third mind emerges, one more powerful than either individual mind could produce alone. This is not metaphor. This is observable force. When two people commit to the same definite aim, when they meet with regularity, when they challenge each other without ego and support each other without flattery, they create a current of energy, of ideas, of momentum that neither could access in isolation. This is the mastermind principle, and it is the hidden accelerant behind every fortune built in the last century. Andrew Carnegie understood this law with absolute clarity. He did not build his steel empire alone. He surrounded himself with men whose minds complemented his own, men who saw what he could not see, men who challenged his assumptions, men who brought specialized knowledge, technical skill, financial acumen, and in their weekly meetings, ideas emerged that no single man in that room could have conceived independently. The mastermind was the furnace, the individual minds were the fuel, and the fortune was the fire that resulted. But here is what most men misunderstand about the mastermind. It is not a networking group. It is not a social club. It is not a place to make friends or seek applause. It is a disciplined alliance of minds aligned toward a common end, operating under strict rules, meeting with precision, and holding each other to a standard higher than comfort. If your mastermind meeting feels good, if it ends with everyone feeling validated and encouraged, it is not a mastermind. It is a support group. And support groups do not build wealth. They build dependency. The true mastermind is uncomfortable. It forces honesty. It demands proof. It rejects excuses. When you enter the meeting, you bring your metrics. You bring your progress. You bring your obstacles. And the group does not console you. They question you. They pressure you. They hold you to the standard you claimed you would meet. And if you failed to meet it, they do not soften the blow. They ask why. They strip away the narrative. They expose the gap between your declaration and your execution. And in that exposure, you are forced to confront the truth. Either you are serious or you are pretending. And pretense cannot survive the scrutiny of a true mastermind. Charles M. Schwab rose to wealth not because he was the most educated man in the room, but because he understood how to catalyze a team. He ran meetings with brutal efficiency. 30 minutes? No more. Every person reported their progress. Every obstacle was named. Every solution was assigned. And then the meeting ended. No socializing, no meandering conversation. Just focus, pressure, execution. And because the meetings were disciplined, the results were exponential. The mastermind did not waste time. It multiplied it. You must build such an alliance, not with many people, but with 2 or 3. Choose them carefully. Do not choose based on friendship. Do not choose based on proximity. Choose based on alignment. Do they share your level of commitment? Do they hold a definite aim of their own? Are they willing to be questioned? Are they capable of questioning you without malice? If the answer to any of these is no, they do not belong in your mastermind. For one weak link will dilute the entire force. Once chosen, establish the rules. Meet weekly, same day, same time, 30 minutes maximum. Each person reports 3 things: what they completed, what they are building, and what is blocking them. No stories, no justifications, just facts. And then the group responds, not with sympathy, but with solutions, not with encouragement, but with clarity. If someone is stuck, the group helps them see the path. If someone is drifting, the group names the drift. If someone is pretending, the group calls it out. This is not cruelty. This is accountability. And accountability is the only force strong enough to overcome the human tendency towards self-deception. But the mastermind must also be silent, not silent in its operation, but silent in its existence. You do not announce your mastermind. You do not post about it. You do not invite spectators. The alliance operates in private, protects its members' visions, and reveals results only when results are undeniable. This is strategic silence applied to collaboration. The world does not need to know who you are meeting with or what you are building. The world needs only to see what you deliver. And here is the subtle magic of the mastermind. When minds unite in this way, ideas arrive that no one planted, solutions emerge that no one consciously designed. It is as if the combined focus creates a channel through which insight flows. One person speaks a fragment, another builds on it, a third sees the implication. And within minutes, a strategy is born that is more elegant, more powerful, more complete than anything one mind could have constructed alone. This is not luck. This is law. Two or more minds, aligned in harmony, create a third invisible mind. And that third mind is the builder of fortunes. But I must warn you, the mastermind will test you. It will expose your laziness. It will reveal your excuses. It will force you to confront the gap between who you say you are and who you are proving to be. And in those moments, you will want to quit. You will want to find a softer group, a kinder circle, people who will not press you so hard. Resist that temptation, for the pressure is the point, the discomfort is the mechanism, and the men and women who endure that pressure are the ones who rise. Affirm this now. I serve through value. Gold pursues understanding. Value first, credit later. Say it as a law you have chosen to obey, for the mastermind is not about taking. It is about contributing. You bring your best thinking. You offer your sharpest insight. You give your time, your energy, your clarity. And in the giving, you receive far more than you contributed. This is the paradox of the mastermind. The more you serve the group, the more the group serves you. So recruit your circle. 2 people minimum, 3 maximum. Choose them with care. Establish the rules with precision. Meet with discipline. And protect the alliance with silence. For in that small, focused, relentless circle, you will find a force that no amount of solitary effort could ever produce. The mastermind is the multiplier, and multiplication is the mathematics of wealth. But even with a definite aim, even with strategic silence, even with auto-suggestion programmed into your subconscious, even with rhythm installed in your days, even with a mastermind accelerating your progress, there remains one final gate, one final test, one final law that separates the wealthy from the wishful. And it is the hardest law to obey because it requires you to burn your escape routes, to eliminate retreat, to make a decision so final that failure is no longer an option. This is the law of decision. And it is here, at this threshold, that most men turn back. Indecision is the silent killer of wealth. It is the thief that steals years. It is the fog that obscures the path. It is the paralysis that masquerades as prudence. The man who cannot decide will forever serve the man who can. The woman who waits for perfect clarity will forever watch as others, less qualified but more decisive, claim the ground she was afraid to step on. For the world does not reward the brilliant. It does not reward the cautious. It rewards the decisive. And decision is not the result of certainty. It is the cause of it. Abraham Lincoln faced a nation fracturing, a war with no clear end, and critics on every side. He did not have perfect information. He did not have unanimous support. He did not have a guarantee of success. But he made a decision. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation not when it was safe, but when it was necessary. He acted under pressure, without complete clarity, because he understood that delay was defeat. And because he decided, the course of history bent to his will, not because the decision was easy, but because it was final. Most men do not fail because they made the wrong decision. They fail because they made no decision. They wait for the economy to improve. They wait for more capital. They wait for a sign. They wait for confidence. And while they wait, another man acts. Another woman builds. Another person claims the opportunity that was available to everyone but seized by only one. And that one was not more talented. That one was simply more decisive. Decision has a strange power. It eliminates options, and in eliminating options, it concentrates force. When you decide, truly decide, you stop considering alternatives. You stop second-guessing. You stop wasting energy on paths you will never walk. All of your focus, all of your effort, all of your subconscious processing power narrows to a single channel. And in that channel, velocity increases, momentum builds. And what seemed impossible when you were divided becomes inevitable when you are unified. But decision alone is not enough. Decision must be paired with the burning of bridges. You must eliminate retreat. You must remove the safety nets. You must put yourself in a position where success is the only option, because failure would cost you everything. This is not recklessness. This is strategy. When retreat is possible, the mind always considers it. When comfort is available, the body always seeks it. But when the bridges are burned, when there is no way back, the mind stops debating and starts executing. It finds solutions it would never have found if escape were still an option. King Solomon, when faced with a choice, did not ask for wealth. He asked for wisdom. And because he asked for understanding, because he decided that knowledge was the foundation of all other success, the wealth followed. He did not chase gold. He chased clarity. And gold, being obedient to law, pursued him. This is the lesson. Decide what you will build. Decide what you will become. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. And then make that decision so complete, so final, so irreversible, that your entire being has no choice but to align with it. Here is what this looks like in practice. You choose one product, one service, one offer that aligns with your definite chief aim, not three options, not a portfolio of possibilities. One, you set a launch date. You make it public to your mastermind. You attach a consequence to failure. You remove the possibility of delay. And then you build. You build as if your life depends on it, because in a very real sense, it does. Your identity depends on it. Your integrity depends on it. Your future depends on it. And when the stakes are that high, the mind finds a way. But most people will not do this. They will hedge. They will keep backup plans. They will preserve their options. And in preserving their options, they preserve their mediocrity. For wealth does not come to the divided. It comes to the committed. It comes to the man who burns the ships. It comes to the woman who says, "This is my path, and I will walk it until it yields, or I will die walking." Let me tell you what happens when you burn the bridges. First, your energy consolidates. You stop wasting time considering alternatives. Second, your focus sharpens. You see obstacles more clearly because you are no longer distracted by escape routes. Third, your subconscious engages fully. It knows there is no retreat, so it stops searching for safety and starts searching for solutions. And fourth, the world begins to take you seriously. People sense commitment, they sense finality, and they respond to it. Investors appear, partners emerge, opportunities materialize. Not because you are lucky, but because you are undivided. Affirm this now. I command wealth through wisdom. Decide, then demonstrate. Say it with the weight of law. Say it as a man who has chosen his path and will not look back. For this is the final gate, and once you pass through it, there is no return. But there is also no limit to what you can build. So I ask you now, what is the one decision you have been avoiding? What is the bridge you have been afraid to burn? What is the escape route you have been preserving that is actually preserving your poverty? Name it, see it clearly, and then eliminate it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, today, in the next 24 hours. Make the decision so final that your mind has no choice but to execute. And then watch what happens. Watch how quickly solutions appear when retreat is no longer an option. Watch how fast you move when delay is no longer possible. Watch how the world rearranges itself around the man or woman who has decided. You now hold the 6 movements, the definite chief aim that anchors all action, the strategic silence that protects fragile vision, the auto-suggestion that programs belief into the subconscious, the rhythm and habit that converts time into ownership, the mastermind that multiplies force without multiplying hours, and the decision that eliminates retreat and concentrates power. These are not separate principles. They are one law expressed in 6 dimensions. And if you obey them all, if you install them as the operating system of your daily life, wealth is not a question. It is an inevitability. But knowledge without application is useless. Understanding without ritual is sterile. You can know every principle, memorize every law, and still die poor if you do not build a daily practice that enforces obedience. This is why the wealthy do not merely think differently. They move differently. They structure their hours differently. They govern their attention differently. And that governance is not abstract. It is concrete. It is scheduled. It is measurable. It is a ritual. And it is to this ritual, this daily ceremony of self-command, that we now turn. For the ritual is where belief becomes behavior, where law becomes life, where the invisible becomes visible. Let me paint you a picture. It is early. The world is still asleep. The streets are quiet. The distractions have not yet awakened. You rise not because an alarm forces you, but because you have decided that this hour belongs to you, not to the world. You do not reach for your phone. You do not check messages. You do not allow the chaos of others to enter your mind before you have governed your own. Instead, you walk to a mirror, not a small mirror, a full mirror where you can see yourself completely. And you stand before it not with shame, not with doubt, but with the posture of a man or woman who is about to issue commands to the most powerful force in their life, their own subconscious mind. You breathe. 3 deep breaths. You feel your feet on the floor. You feel the air entering your lungs. You feel your heartbeat. You are present. You are awake. You are in command. And then you speak, not to the world, to yourself. You speak the 11 lines that you have written, the 11 affirmations that align with your definite chief aim. And you speak each line 3 times, not quickly, not mechanically, but with emotion, with conviction, with the full force of your belief. The first line might be, I command wealth through wisdom and disciplined action. You say it, you feel it, you let the words settle into your chest. You say it again, louder. You say it a 3rd time, as if you are issuing a law that cannot be broken. And then you move to the 2nd line. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. 3 times, each repetition adding weight, adding certainty, adding force. And you continue through all 11 lines, each one a declaration of identity, each one a command to your subconscious, each one a brick in the foundation of who you are becoming. By the time you reach the 11th line, your voice has changed. Your posture has changed. Your eyes, when you look at your reflection, hold a certainty they did not possess 15 minutes ago. You are not the same person who stood before the mirror when you began. You have spoken yourself into a higher state. You have installed a program, and your subconscious, being obedient, has received the command. But the ritual does not end there. After the 11 lines, you sit. You close your eyes, and for 5 minutes, you do nothing. You do not meditate. You do not pray. You simply sit in silence. You feel your body. You notice your breath. You allow your mind to settle. This is not wasted time. This is the pause that allows the programming to take root. This is the silence in which the subconscious begins to reorganize around the commands you just issued. And in that silence, you might feel resistance. You might feel doubt. You might hear the voice that says, this is foolish. Do not argue with it. Do not engage it. Simply observe it. and then return to your breath. For the resistance is not a signal to stop. It is proof that you are reprogramming something deep. After the silence, you open your eyes, and for the next 5 minutes you visualize. Not vaguely, not abstractly. You see, in vivid detail, the next milestone on your path. If your aim is to launch a product, you see the launch. You see the customers. You see the transactions. You see the number in your account. You feel the weight of the accomplishment. You walk through the scene as if it has already occurred, and you do not rush. You linger in the details. You make it so real in your mind that when you open your eyes, you feel a slight disorientation, as if you have just returned from a place that exists as solidly as the room you are sitting in. This is your morning government. 25 minutes. Before the world wakes, before distraction arrives, before doubt has a chance to speak, you have governed your mind, installed your commands, and previewed your success. And now, you are ready to build. You move to your workspace. The time is fixed. Let us say 8 o'clock. You do not wait for inspiration. You do not check email. You do not scroll. You enter your first deep work block. 50 minutes, one task, one deliverable, one piece of your definite chief aim. You write, you build, you create, you code, you design, you produce, and you do not stop. You do not pause to question. You do not allow interruption. For these 50 minutes, you are a force of singular focus. And when the timer sounds, you have something tangible, not perfect, but real, not complete, but advanced. You take 10 minutes, you stand, you walk, you breathe. You do not consume content. You do not engage with distraction. You simply move your body and reset your mind, and then you return. Another 50 minutes, another deliverable, another step toward the aim that governs your life. By the time these 2 blocks are complete, you have built more real progress than most people build in a block. Week. Not because you are smarter, not because you are more talented, but because you have rhythm, you have structure, you have protected time, and protected time, when used with focus, becomes compound interest. At midday, you pause. And here is where most people celebrate prematurely. They feel good about the morning's work, and they drift into the afternoon. But you do not drift. You enforce the rule of proof. You take one piece of evidence from the morning's work, a screenshot, a metric, a photo, a short video, and you send it to your mastermind, not to brag, not to impress, but to prove, to yourself, to your circle, that you are not pretending, that you are not drifting, that you are building something real. And that evidence, when accumulated over weeks, becomes an undeniable record of progress. In the afternoon, you shift focus, not to more tasks, not to more consumption, but to building leverage. You dedicate 1 hour to constructing a microsystem, something small, but something that will eventually run without you. A sales page, an email automation, a script, a process document, a piece of code that handles a repetitive task. You are not trying to complete the entire system today. You are installing one component, one brick, one piece of infrastructure. And if you do this every day, if you build one microsystem per week, you will have 4 systems by the end of the month, 12 systems in 90 days. And those systems, once built, will generate value, capture leads, deliver service, or create income while you sleep. This is the difference between the laborer and the owner. The laborer works and stops. The owner works and builds. The laborer trades time for money. The owner builds machines that convert time into assets. And the machine is not built in one day. It is built in 1 hour per day, repeated until the system is complete. This is how ownership is constructed, not through giant efforts, but through small, consistent installations of leverage. And then, as the day closes, you return to the mirror. The time is fixed. Let us say 9 o'clock in the evening. You stand before your reflection once more. You speak your definite chief aim aloud. You read it as if it were a law that governs the universe. And then you review your 3 metrics. How many deliverables did you complete today? How many leads or how much revenue did your actions generate? What percentage of your planned blocks did you execute? If the answer is 85% or higher, you mark the day as a win. You place an X on the calendar. You add to the streak. And the streak, when visible, becomes a force of its own. You do not want to break it. You do not want to see a gap. And so the streak enforces the rhythm, and the rhythm enforces the result. If you fell below 85%, you do not shame yourself. You do not spiral. You simply note the reason. You identify the obstacle, and you adjust. Perhaps you need to wake earlier. Perhaps you need to eliminate a meeting. Perhaps you need to strengthen your boundary with distraction. You make one small change, and you prepare for tomorrow. And then, before you sleep, you speak one statement of gratitude, not for what you hope to receive, but for what you have already built, for the discipline you demonstrated, for the progress you made, for the law you obeyed, and you identify one improvement, one adjustment, one refinement that will make tomorrow stronger than today. This is the closing ceremony. This is how you put the day to rest, not with drift, but with governance, not with regret, but with clarity. This ritual, this daily structure, is not optional. It is the mechanism by which all 6 movements are enforced. The definite aim is reviewed morning and night. The silence is protected by the rule of proof. The auto-suggestion is spoken in the mirror. The rhythm is installed through fixed blocks. The mastermind is served through evidence. And the decision is reinforced by the 7-7 and visible streak. Everything is connected. Everything is measured. Everything is governed by law. But I must tell you what will happen in the first 30 days. You will feel resistance. You will wake and not want to stand before the mirror. You will feel foolish speaking to your reflection. You will doubt whether the ritual is working. You will want to skip a day. You will want to soften the structure. Do not, for the first 30 days are the installation period. You are not yet seeing the result. You are building the foundation. And the foundation must be laid with precision, or everything built upon it will collapse. By day 31, something shifts. The mirror no longer feels strange. The affirmations no longer sound foreign. Your voice carries them with ease. Your body anticipates the blocks. Your mind craves the focus. And the results, which were invisible in the first weeks, begin to surface. An idea arrives. A connection forms. A door opens. Not because you wished for it, but because your subconscious, programmed by 30 days of consistent command, has been filtering reality for opportunities that align with your definite aim. You are not lucky. You are obedient. And obedience to law produces result as surely as planting produces harvest. By day 60, the rhythm is no longer something you enforce. It is something you inhabit. You do not think about the mirror. You simply go. You do not debate the deep work blocks. You simply enter. The resistance that dominated the first month has dissolved, not because it was defeated, but because it was starved. Resistance feeds on inconsistency. It grows in the gaps between action. But when there are no gaps, when the rhythm is unbroken, resistance has nothing to consume, and so it fades, and in its place, a quiet confidence emerges. You begin to trust yourself, not because you feel strong, but because you have proven, day after day, that you do what you say you will do. And that proof becomes the foundation of unshakable belief. By day 90, you are unrecognizable, not to others, perhaps, but to yourself. You look in the mirror and see someone different, someone who commands, someone who builds, someone who does not wait for permission, for motivation, for the perfect moment, someone who acts, and the evidence is undeniable. You have built 12 microsystems. You have completed 90 days of deep work blocks. You have sent 90 pieces of proof to your mastermind. You have spoken your affirmations nearly 600 times. And the compound effect of all this discipline is now visible. Revenue has appeared, leads have arrived, the product has launched, the service has sold, the asset has grown. Not because you were lucky, but because you were lawful. This is the power of the 90-day cycle. It is long enough to install permanent change. It is short enough to maintain intensity. And it is the rhythm by which all great transformations occur. You do not build wealth in a day. You build it in 90 days, repeated. You do not become a new person overnight. You become a new person in 3 months, and then you become a more refined version in the next 3 months, and then a more powerful version in the 3 months after that. And if you repeat this cycle 4 times, you will have transformed your entire life in 1 year, not through dramatic gestures, but through quiet, relentless, measured obedience to law. But I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds rigid. This sounds exhausting. What if I don't have time? What if I don't feel like it? What if people think I'm obsessed? These are not new objections. They are the same objections every builder has faced. And they are not obstacles. They are tests. Tests of whether you are serious or merely interested. And the difference between the two is the difference between wealth and poverty. Let me address the first objection. I don't have time. You do. You simply have not prioritized the ritual above the distractions that currently govern your hours. You have time to scroll, you have time to watch, you have time to consume content that builds nothing. But you believe you do not have time for 2 50-minute blocks of focused work. This is not a time problem. This is a priority problem. And priority is revealed not by what you say, but by what you do. If wealth is truly your aim, you will find the time. You will wake earlier. You will eliminate the useless. You will protect the blocks as you would protect your life. And if you will not do this, then wealth is not your aim. Comfort is. And comfort, while pleasant, does not compound. The second objection, what if I don't feel like it? Then do it anyway. Motivation is not the cause of action. It is the result. You do not wait to feel motivated before you act. You act, and motivation follows. The man who waits for the feeling will wait forever. The woman who moves despite the feeling will discover that the feeling arrives after the first 10 minutes of work. This is law. Emotion follows motion. If you want to feel powerful, act powerfully. If you want to feel disciplined, act with discipline. And if you want to feel wealthy, act as the wealthy act. Do not wait for the emotion. Create it through behavior. The third objection. What if people think I'm obsessed? Let them think it. The opinions of those who do not build are irrelevant to those who do. You are not living for their approval. You are living for your aim. And the aim requires obsession. It requires focus that looks extreme to the distracted. It requires discipline that looks rigid to the drifting. But what the critics call obsession, the wealthy call standard. What the average call extreme, the successful call necessary. You must choose which voice you will obey. The voice of the crowd, which will keep you poor and comfortable, or the voice of law, which will make you wealthy and free. The fourth objection, my old beliefs are too strong. I've tried before and failed. Then you did not install the ritual with precision. You did not program your subconscious with repetition. You did not enforce the rhythm without gap. Trying is not the same as installing. Hoping is not the same as commanding. The man who says he has tried and failed simply stopped before the installation was complete. He planted the seed and walked away before it could take root. But if you stay, if you repeat, if you enforce the ritual for 90 days without excuse, the old beliefs will dissolve. Not because you argued with them, but because you replaced them with proof, and proof, when repeated, becomes new belief. The fifth objection, what if I don't see results in the first 30 days? Then you are building the foundation. Results are not immediate. They are inevitable. If you plant in spring, you do not harvest in summer. You harvest in fall. The seed requires time to root, to grow, to mature. And your definite aim is the same. The first 30 days are the rooting. The second 30 days are the growth. The third 30 days are the first harvest. But if you dig up the seed every week to check its progress, you will kill it. You must trust the law. You must trust the process. You must trust that obedience, when sustained, must yield. And if you do not see visible results by day 90, you will certainly feel internal transformation. And internal transformation always precedes external wealth. The sixth objection: I'm too old. I've wasted too much time already. Then start now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Age is not a barrier to wealth. It is often an advantage. The older man has experience. He has learned what does not work. He has paid the tuition of failure. And if he will apply the law with the same intensity a young man applies ignorance, he will build wealth faster than the young man ever could. The law does not care about your age. It cares about your obedience, and obedience can begin at any moment. These objections, when dissolved, reveal the truth. There is no external obstacle to your wealth. There is only internal resistance. And internal resistance is overcome not through argument, but through action, through ritual, through rhythm, through the daily enforcement of law until law becomes identity. Now let me show you how the ritual connects to ownership, how the daily blocks of deep work convert into assets that generate wealth without your presence. This is the missing piece. This is what separates the disciplined laborer from the wealthy owner. The laborer works hard every day and stops when the day ends. The owner works strategically every day and builds systems that continue when the work stops. And the bridge between the two is the 1-hour afternoon block dedicated to leverage. Here is what this looks like in practice. You choose one microsystem to build each week. Week 1, you build a simple landing page that captures leads for your definite aim. It does not need to be perfect. It needs to be functional. One headline, one offer, one call to action, one form. You spend 1 hour per day for 5 days building, testing, refining. By the end of the week, the page is live. It is capturing emails. It is converting visitors into leads. And it runs whether you are awake or asleep, whether you are working or resting. Week 2, you build an automated email sequence, 5 emails. Each one delivers value, builds trust, and moves the reader toward a decision. You write 1 email per day. You load them into the automation. You test the sequence. And by the end of the week, every person who enters your landing page receives a series of messages that educate, persuade, and convert. You wrote it once. It runs forever. Week 3. You build a simple offer, a product, a service, a consultation, something that aligns with your definite aim and solves a specific problem for a specific person. You spend 1 hour per day defining the offer, pricing it, creating the sales mechanism, and by the end of the week you have something to sell, something that generates revenue, something that converts leads into customers. Week 4, you build a content system, a schedule, a template, a process for creating valuable content that attracts attention and drives traffic to your landing page. You do not need to create content every day. You need to create a system that makes content creation efficient, repeatable, and strategic. And once the system is built, you can produce in 1 hour what used to take 4. By the end of 30 days, you have 4 systems: a lead capture system, an email nurture system, a sales system, a content system. And these 4 systems, working together, form a simple but functional machine. Traffic enters through content, leads are captured by the page, trust is built through email, sales are closed through the offer, and the entire machine runs with minimal maintenance. You built it in 30 hours, spread across 30 days, and it will generate value for years. By the end of 60 days, you have 8 systems. Perhaps you have added a payment processor that automates transactions, a customer onboarding sequence that delivers the product without your involvement, a referral system that incentivizes customers to bring others, a feedback loop that collects testimonials and improves the offer. Each system is small. Each system is simple. But together, they create leverage. They convert your time into assets. They allow you to earn while you sleep. By the end of 90 days, you have 12 systems, and the compound effect is undeniable. You are no longer trading time for money. You are managing systems that generate money. You are no longer reacting to the day. You are governing machines that work for you. And this is ownership. This is how the wealthy operate. They do not work harder. They build smarter. They do not labor longer. They leverage better. And leverage is built 1 hour per day, one system per week, 1 quarter at a time. This is the architecture of the 90-day cycle. Week 1 through 4, you build the foundation systems. Week 5 through 8, you refine and optimize. Week 9 through 12, you scale and multiply. And then you repeat. Another 90 days, another layer of systems, another level of leverage. And after 4 cycles, after 1 year, you have built a machine so robust, so automated, so profitable that your time is no longer required for income. Your time is freed for strategy, for vision, for the next level of growth. But the systems are only as strong as the discipline that builds them. And the discipline is only as strong as the ritual that enforces it. This is why the morning government matters. This is why the deep work blocks matter. This is why the evening review matters. They are not separate from the systems. They are the engine that powers the systems. Without the ritual, the systems do not get built. Without the rhythm, the leverage does not compound. And without the law, the wealth does not arrive.